especially talking about the Indian kids and unconventional careers, right? If you go to your mom and dad and say, "Hey, I want to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, or whatever, or maybe something like that," people are fine with that. But still, careers like emceeing or TV presenter, stand-up comic, or YouTuber, Indian parents, especially from the middle class, do not still accept them as a viable careers, although they're really good careers, right? How was your relationship journey support from your family? And if let us say there's a kid watching this who thinks my family is not supporting me, what are the tips and advice you would give them so that if not the family gets convinced?
Because of my parents, I was doing theater.
Okay.
I did acting, and then I did all of that. Then that theater ka bug, it caught on, and I did it as a child, and I did it in school, and I did it in college. And then when I was in my final year, in my 5th year, in my TY BA, my dad turned to me and said, "अच्छा तो करने क्या वाले हो?" So I said,
Okay.
"Eh? Meaning, I'm doing this. I'm going to continue." So he said, "नहीं नहीं, वो तो hobby है ना बेटा." I was like, "Dad, I've been doing this like since I was 5 years old. I'm 20 today."
Hey Freishia, how are you? Welcome to Cracking the Code.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, and thank you so much for signing up for this and being the first speaker.
I'm so excited. I'm actually so honored that you thought that, I should be your first speaker for this session. And I truly hope that everyone that has tuned in will really, really enjoy and learn from what we have to offer today.
Let me quickly welcome Freishia. She's a TV presenter. She's a master of ceremonies, have done 100 more than like let's say 200 plus events. She has worked with SRK, Hrithik Roshan, Salman Khan, Sachin Tendulkar, Kareena Kapoor, Priyanka Chopra, and lot more. You can find the detailed list of all these people on her website. Right from working with global CEOs to launching a few of the biggest brands, she's been the face of all of them. She's a traveler, she's a foodie, she's a fitness enthusiast. You'll of course find all this on her Instagram. She's pretty much everywhere in terms of digital platforms. And other than all of these things, she has been a host to a few of the most prominent shows on television. She has been a face of. She's basically, if I'm not wrong, you started with Hangout America with NDTV
Yeah.
Good Times, and then you became the face of Band Baja Bride season 5. You've done film Fair Award red carpets 2 years in a row, Dubai Diaries, India with Marriott, Lakme Fashion Week, and now she is the Stay Free India's digital YouTube campaign. She's the face of them, and she's also the face of Adidas as the face of their social media. And last but not the least, she is also the content creator and the channel owner at WAC. How do you manage to do all of this, Risha? Let me start with this question first.
The thing with something like that is, and this is something I get asked very, very often, where people are like, "But how do you manage to juggle so many different roles?" And I actually don't look at all of them as different roles. If you see all these different roles, there is one thing that is common in them, and that
Okay.
is me as a communicator and me as someone who talks basically for a living. So whether it's me on my travel shows, me on WAC, me on Band Baja Bride, or on my Instagram, or more essentially my Master of Ceremonies that I do, all of this is about communicating. And all of it is, about how is it that you communicate with people, how to talk to them, and how to get your point across very clearly. And so
Right.
I don't see it as, array, I do so many different things. I do the same thing on different platforms.
So I think, and I'm sure you love your job.
It's something that I've always been as a child. I've always been a chatterbox. I've always been very, yeah, it's like I've always been that person where, like, by the end of it, my sister and my parents would be like, "Arey Baba, abhi chup, बहुत हो गया, पक गए हम
Right.
लोग. But I've been that person, and luckily now, people don't say it that much ke are baba chup, because I know when to keep quiet also.
Let's talk about where it all started. Like, so what's been your journey like? What was the first thing you ever did, and where did it all begin? Let's start from there.
So, I think I owe a lot of the kind of job that I do is very personality development heavy.
Right.
At the end of the day, you have to be not only a good communicator, but you also have to have a very well rounded personality to be able to then kind of say that no matter what situation I am put in, I can adapt to that and learn to communicate those points very, very quickly. So, how does one
Absolutely.
become a well rounded personality? There's a lot of things that you do just to work on yourself. But what I have done, and I have been very lucky to have encountered in my life, is that I've also managed to be exposed to a lot of things. And that I owe to my parents. As a child, I did theatre. I started at the age, I did professional theatre at the age of 5. Imagine being a 5 and a 6-year-old child who's doing professional plays that people are coming and paying money to watch. Of course, at that time, you don't really understand. Matlab, mere liye to it was playtime.
Right.
And yeah, it was like a fun thing for me to do. But at that time, you don't realize, that these are very important seeds that are being planted. I did
Right.
ballet. I continued with, I learned how to play the piano.
Okay.
I continued with my acting throughout school, throughout college. And in college, I was very actively involved in, college में बहुत सारे हमारे societies होते हैं. I headed the English literature department. I was the student rep for that. I've always been that kind of person who's been very actively involved. And the
Right.
more actively involved you are in things around you, there is a certain amount of personality development that does take place through that. But what I try and do is I read different things. And I have to confess over here at this point that being an English literature student, I feel that I read so much in college and till very recently that my reading has really come down, and it has really, really reduced. And now
Okay.
I'm kind of, I don't read as much, but I go online and I read a lot. So there are different
Right.
ways of still reading and still
Right.
keeping yourself, involved and keeping yourself aware.
Right.
The next thing I think that everyone also should do is that you should also really, really take care of yourself. And this is something that I get asked a lot, where people tell me that why is it that only stereotypical what our notions and society's notions of good looking is.
Hmm.
Why do only those people get the opportunity? And I do not believe in that, especially in today's day and age. Look at a lot of our stand-up comedians. Look at
Absolutely.
a lot of the actors that today you will see on an Amazon show, on a Netflix show. They are like, my God, they are like gods when it comes to their art and their craft. And if your art and your craft is very strong, then these notions that you have in your head, these are just blocks that you have put for yourself.
Right.
These are just limitations that you have put for yourself, and you have said, nahi, I'm not fair, no, I'm not this, oh, my hair is short, my hair is long, things like that. These are all walls that you have put for yourself. If you feel that, okay, I didn't have all this exposure as a child, it's still not too late. I'll give you the example. There are so many things that we see where we see that, like, Tesla invented something at the age of 45. Look at really good actors. Some of them have had their biggest breaks and have really come through at a much older and a much later phase in life. And we're programmed to think, yaar, if by 16 or by 20, if I'm not already, the next big startup or on my way to becoming in the line for a CEO or something, because we now in today's day and age, Everything is happening so fast. Everything's happening so quickly.
Right.
Things are moving so fast. It's like, by the time you're of a certain age, there are these things. I should have achieved this, 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 this. It's not necessary because I didn't have those opportunities. Now it's too late and it's done. It's not
Right.
necessary.
And
Yeah,
just to kind of add, I think one of the biggest examples is Boman Irani, right? I
sure.
was reading one of his documentary. I think he's one of those modern age actors who says that till 40, I think 42, I think that was the age, he was
Yes,
not even into the movie industry. And
correct.
look at the kind of talent that guy is,
Correct.
right?
And he
Yeah.
he got the opportunity and then he just grabbed it.
Yep.
I was the kind of person that used to say no to a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would be like, नहीं यार मैं ये करूँगी फिर ये होगा मैं वो करूँगी तो ये होगा. Now I say no very very rarely.
Okay.
And I grab most opportunities that do come my way, unless of course it's something really like, I mean, I got an opportunity to go on Bigo Live. Am I going to do that? No. So, like I
Right.
said, unless it's something like that, which you will weigh out for yourself, the more things you say yes to, the more things you get exposed to.
Because I think a lot of times people accept and reject opportunities, and so there's no clear cut black and white thing, right? I may grab this opportunity, I may not grab this opportunity, and the result is not instant, right? Sometimes you go for A and then if you miss on B, or you go for B and then you miss on A, right? So
Yes.
what's your mantra, or how do you evaluate? At this point in time, now you have enough on your plate and you have enough opportunities coming in. How do you evaluate? Of course, like although you're saying that I'm accepting at least most of them, and I'm sure you are analyzing them through a certain framework you've
Yeah.
created. But
Yeah.
what's your general advice in terms of evaluating opportunities and grabbing onto the opportunities?
So, there have been many missed opportunities in my life.
Okay.
There have been moments where, like you said, A opportunity has come up and then suddenly B opportunity, and they both, let's say, are bookings on the same day. Now, then you can't say yes, right? How are you going to
Right.
split yourself? How are you going to split yourself into two? There's a couple of factors at this point that come into play. The Parsi in me is very honest, and the Parsi in me truly believes that it's always about the right thing to do. So if I have said yes to a certain booking, I don't go back to that person and say, I got another opportunity, which is a bigger opportunity, and I need to leave your thing. Once I have done that, because the booking happened, I got booked a month in advance. So I
Right.
said to myself, you know what? They'll be able to find someone else. It's 1 month. It's a lot of time. You're not like ditching somebody in the end moment, and you're not leaving them in the end moment. Now, how do you decide between these two opportunities that which is the better one? There's a couple of things, right? You will know, because now I'm going to talk from a very my point of view as a person who goes on stage, or as an actor. Money is always one driving force.
Okay.
Okay, because you do know that the bigger the opportunity, the better the money will always be.
Of course. Absolutely.
It's obvious and it's correlated with each other.
Absolutely.
Secondly, is that what difference does this opportunity make to my future, the way I'm projected and the way I'm seen in the future? So now what are people going to, how are they going to perceive me, and how am I projected to the public based on this opportunity?
Right.
And today, everything that you do, especially in this line, will stay on the internet forever.
Absolutely.
So, it's going to be there for posterity. It's going to be there. So there's nothing that you can do about something like that. So you got to be really careful in terms of,
Right.
how well will this opportunity really work for me in the future, and how will I be seen?
Right.
And then I also think because मेरे line में तो ऐसा ही है, there is also a certain amount of thing of relationship. But the way I perceive it also is that it's good to build new relationships.
Right.
So
I think that, go ahead.
So if this is going to give me more work and this is going to open a new door for me and a new pathway completely, I will go in that direction because the person I've already made a relationship with knows me and knows the value of my work.
Right, absolutely. I think the most important takeaway, and especially people who are watching this right now, and most importantly, the early stage students, early professionals, and kids, young guys who aspire to be like you, I think the most critical thing and the most important lesson I can take out from this entire discussion, like the past 10-minute discussion that we had, is that be true to your profession and be true to people, right? I think what you said that, I have never ditched anybody. I think that's a very high ethic in terms of work. Money is of course a byproduct. I personally believe that money is a byproduct, and money will definitely come. But I think if your ethics are very strong, I think you are here for the long-term game then, and nobody can replace you then, right?
Yeah, and so the street cred is very, very important in today's day and age. Street cred is like all the way up here, and people will there will be a lot of people that will want to bring your street cred down.
Yes.
So if you open that door and you give it even the slightest crack, someone's going to latch onto that opportunity and want to watch you go down.
What are the top 3 things you as a professional, especially in your industry, can talk about? How can one develop a good personality? Of course, I'm putting off reading and learning at this point in time because I'll talk separately on that. But other than that, what are the things one needs to do in terms of improving their personality to be a good fit into this industry?
So this is something that I talk about a lot on my YouTube channel, WAC. And we really undermine the importance of this. And we also feel that this is something that we should start doing later in life. But this is something that I do think that people should start doing as teenagers only, which is exercise. I cannot tell you how important exercise is. You might be thinking right now that what does that have to do with my personality? Like, what is she talking about, right? Exercise, again, it's something physical. It's appearance. No, it's not. There is a certain correlation between once you really start feeling good about yourself, once you really start loving the reflection that you see in the mirror, you will start believing in yourself. And there will be a certain amount of more that you want to start investing in yourself. So there is a big correlation between exercise and your personality developing. The next one is that having a sense of humor about everything and not taking yourself too seriously. Because now you've told me to leave learning and reading aside.
Yeah.
And the main and the most important thing, if someone has to develop their personality. But just having a sense of humor, I make fun of myself all the time. When I am goofy, when I am silly, I celebrate that. I am not ashamed of people now perceiving me in a particular way. I can take a joke really well. I know the difference between a joke and an insult, basically. So I feel that when you slowly stop taking yourself and you stop taking the world around you also very seriously, and you become a little bit like enjoying the world, enjoying everything around you, there is a certain amount of like centering and a calmness that does just automatically start taking place.
Absolutely.
You become a more jovial person, you become a more likable person, and a certain amount of personality development is that, right? You want people to instantly like you.
Right. I was just going through a TEDx talk And I think that's a very important lesson in that entire talk. And I think I love the title as well. That how a non-smart person like me entered into a TEDx talk. And I know you're very very smart. I think the one thing that I have put it out here in my notes, which
Huh.
is a very important learning, which is let me figure it out. I think if you have this let me figure it out attitude, or if you take this thing as a mantra for success, I think you will be able to do in everything.
Yeah.
So let's talk about VAC for a while. How did it all started? What motivated you to get into VAC? How is it doing right now? What are future plans? And how can an aspiring content creator come on YouTube and get started?
So basically, YouTube had started. There was a lot of stuff happening on YouTube. There was this desire to be over there and talk to people.
Right.
And I also knew at the end of the day, I wanted to do something which was true to myself. So this has been a big, important part of my life that, a lot of people don't know, but I used to do Hindi TV serials. And I
Mhm.
have literally done like a proper, it wasn't like a Saas Bahu, but it was like a Saas Bahu of young people. Other
Okay.
than Kampala Investigation Agency, which was a really fun show to be on, it was the Indian version of Famous Five. This other show, it was on Z. और वहाँ पे, I was the negative character and I was making big, big eyes and I was doing all those stereotypical things that TV was then. Today, things have changed. So I'm not going to, say that it's stuck in that age. But it was stuff that, like, it was something that I realized that I woke up every morning hating myself. I woke up every morning saying, ki, oh my God, I have to go to work and I have to say those lines. And then I turned to myself and the people close to me were like, why are you doing that to yourself? Nay, I'm
Mhm.
famous and people know me and, the money is really good and all of that, in my head, I'm thinking all of that. But they were like, but you're so unhappy. What is wrong with you?
Right.
You're just
Right.
terribly unhappy. You need to quit.
Hmm.
And I did.
Hmm.
I did. So I've always been someone who has tried to, and that was a big learning for me. That I can
Hmm.
quit and I will survive. Nothing will go that wrong. Things will work
Absolutely.
eventually. So when I wanted to come on YouTube, I knew that I needed to do something where I will be completely true to myself. And I knew
Hmm.
that at that time, there was a lot of like, acha, girls are mostly they don't do tech unless you are somebody who's into tech, which I'm not.
Hmm.
Uh, because you have to have that technical knowledge. Then there is that thing, ki, acha, like hair, makeup, fashion, At that time, there were those notions about,
Stereotypical environment,
yeah,
right?
and I'm not going to
Hmm.
take away from content creators who do that. They are
Right.
fantastic at what they do. It's very hard work. But I
Hmm.
knew that I wasn't going to be true to myself if I did that. And I needed to do
Absolutely.
something where I could be unique and I could be true to myself.
Hmm.
And this is something that I heard in Startup Jalsa. By then, I had started my YouTube channel, but when I heard this line,
Mhm.
and fill that gap, find out where people are not doing something in that particular area, but there
Right.
might be a demand for it, and fill that gap.
Hmm.
That's when you know that you're doing something really unique.
Right.
With WAC, I then realized that there was nobody that was doing videos on knowledge and on facts.
Right.
And so I said, okay, no one is doing this, and this seems like something I might enjoy. I
Hmm.
love researching and I love, doing that. And I
Mhm.
said, let me start on that journey. And basically, that is exactly how WAC happened. Now,
Right.
coming to actually starting the channel, and I say this every single time, I made the first WAC video 10 times
Yeah.
before I shared it. Yes, I know it's very tough, but
Hmm.
you have all the technology with you. You just don't have the switch on button to start. That's
Hmm.
what it is. I shot all my first couple of WAC videos on my phone. And even today, I shoot some videos on my phone. I have a 1,000 rupee mic that I use. I don't have fancy equipment.
Right, right.
You know, it's like, oh my God, these are like, there are certain things that we need to do. Because I know that at the end of the day, content is king.
So anybody who's trying to get into the YouTube game, what are the top three tips you should give to him, or what are the top three things one should keep in mind while entering into the YouTube game?
It was very challenging for me.
Yep,
No, it is not to start a channel.
yep, yep.
And the third thing is that there is a lot of technical knowledge that is needed. Okay. There is that technical knowledge that is needed, and YouTube provides you with that technical knowledge. You don't need to be worried about that. It's called as the YouTube Creator Academy. It is a
Right.
long course that needs to be done. And I went and I redid it. I had done it then. I went and I redid it. And even today, when I sit on the internet, I sit and I really like go through, training videos. I go through a lot of like what is out there, what are the techniques that people are using. I'm constantly trying to learn and figure that part out.
Sure, sure. So two-part question. One, how important you think your foundation as a kid helped you in gaining this edge in terms of learning? Number one. Number two, how important was your this BA in English literature thing, or whatever course you did? Again, important in terms of had importance in terms of laying the foundation of your researching and reading habits. Because I know guys who, if I ask them to research, uh, people can't research. It's difficult for people to sit for 5 hours or 3 hours rather, or maybe 1 hour and read and research. So how important was the
Yeah.
foundation because of both of those things? And how can people develop this habit? What are the baby steps they can take?
So definitely the foundations that I had as a child were very, very important. There are a lot more things that you can actually learn pertaining to what industry you want to get into. So there are courses that you can do in events. There are courses that you can do, for media. It's a little
Right.
more specialized, and all those options are available. And I
Right.
definitely think that they are very important and they're worth doing. But at the end of the day, a hands-on experience in anything is always going to be the best.
Okay, so let's now go back onto the journey part, and I think you've already spoken about how you got started, and then the importance of theaters and small things that you did, and they were of course done as a game, or they were pushed in by the parents, but I think they really helped you to group the personality. So now it's again a two-part question. One, what are the most important skill sets, again, other than what we have spoken about, which are very particular to your profession in terms of as a communicator or as a master of ceremonies or a TV presenter, somebody who's not just talking, but this entire thing is a package. It's a face and a personality and a charisma and a conversation and a talk. It's a different job altogether, right? It needs multiple multiple things combined together. So what are the most important skill sets around your profession? And let's talk about that a little first.
So other than the obvious ones that you've listed right now, there is obviously confidence that is needed, because at the end of the day, you are going to go in front of I do shows that scale anywhere from 60 people, because let's say it's 60 CEOs of really big companies that have come together, to 5,000 people. And I'm confident speaking in front of a big number of people and an important number of people also.
Yes.
The second thing I also think that's very important is to have a certain amount of adaptability and a certain amount of saying that I can go do a rock concert and I can also go host a doctor's conference. And I can understand who my audience is, who am I talking to today, and what is the tone that I need to set. So to understand that that one way of speaking is not going to always work for the different audiences that you will get exposed to.
Right.
So to have that certain amount of adaptability and to be able to, camouflage with the environment that you're in seamlessly. I know that the most successful shows I have are the ones where people come and tell me, are you employed by the organization? What department do you work in?
Oh, okay.
That for me is like the most successful show that I have had. And I don't take it as like an ego thing of like, Arey, you don't know who I am, I come on TV and all, why, I don't go in that direction. I take it as a compliment because that means I merged in so well and you connected so well with everything that I had to say that you thought I was a part
Of the organization.
that you thought that I was a part of your organization.
Right. Right.
So so that's another thing that you really need. The
Right.
third thing I also think is that you should have the knowledge of being able to write your own scripts.
Okay.
Now, see, this is something I use whether it is my YouTube, whether it is my travel shows, or whether it is me as a master of ceremonies. I use this skill, this particular skill, I use it everywhere. And it's very important to be able to write your own script. If it's a very big event, somebody will present a script. If it is a very big event, somebody will always come and give you a script. But your job as an MC is not to walk on stage and read that script. Your job as an MC is to take that script, make it yours, and still make it for them as well. That is your job. It is nobody's paying you to come and read from a piece of paper. I have बहुत सारे shows होते हैं where you get to co-host with a lot of big TV personalities, with a lot of film stars, because there is a certain they want that kind of glamour quotient to be there at the event. कि कोई बड़ा star आया है, they've come to host as well. People like that, but all of them, most of them, will read from a script. And at that point, that is when me, Freishia as an MC will come on par with them. Because you won't see me leading. You will see me making eye contact. You will see me connecting with the audience.
Right.
And that is where you get that upper hand.
Absolutely. So I think this is a good survival tip also in this industry. That how can because I think it's very, very important to be on the top of the game. And I think the kind of knowledge bombs you're dropping here, I think that they're really of very high value for people who want to get into your space, especially. I have another question related to this. So how do you post COVID and even in the COVID era, although it's immaterial, what era we live in, but from the learner's point of view, how do you think your industry has changed and transformed, and is there anything new you think people need to learn and understand and acquire in terms of knowledge and understanding, or things are going to just be the same? Of course, events are not happening in physical anymore, but I'm sure maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the line, things will go back to normal and we'll continue the life as it was. But do you think is there any additional skill set, any additional mindset, anything else is required now for the upcoming MCs?
Yeah, I definitely think that, if I had maybe the additional skill set of being a singer, or I had the additional skill set of being a stand-up comedian. आज के ज़माने में लोगों के पास बजट्स नहीं है, तो अगर एक बंदा है जो दो चीज मेरे लिए कर सकता है, मेरे ऑडियंस का मतलब प्रेजेंटेशन भी होने वाला है और एंटरटेनमेंट भी होने वाला है. A lot of clients do, they like that. Whether they then use you as a singer or they use you only as an MC is their prerogative. But I definitely know that there are some MCs out there who have that upper thing, especially right now where the budgets are very bad. I think in the future that is always a good thing to have.
Right.
Now I'm not going to become a singer. I definitely think that if you start, thinking that, okay, what is the other thing other than as an MC? What is the other skill set that I can have as well? Then your chances are a little higher. They're a little better, definitely. Especially like right now. Secondly, I think that what has happened with events right now is that they have moved into a virtual space.
Right.
And because it has moved into this virtual space right now, you need to also understand how to be really good on camera and talk to people. Because before you were, you're just in front of a large audience. So your actions are you're much louder, you're much more like, hey guys, whatever, right? You're projecting so much more. Now you have to learn that I'm talking to them through such a small lens. So again, you have to figure out how to adapt your content to this virtual world of events.
Do you think your YouTube thing helped you with this?
I think
Because
I was already.
Because you're always camera friendly, you're making videos and things like that. So do you think it kind of came as an aid in the entire thing, and it was a skill set you knew right before, while others were coping up or thinking of getting into the space, you already knew the game and you were like, bam, hey, I'm here.
I don't think I knew, but I think that actually being on TV and hosting TV shows, I think the connect comes from there, because I was hosting TV shows before I had the YouTube channel.
Okay. So
and
yeah,
it comes from.
Was TV the beginning or was emceeing the beginning?
It was all very parallel, and maybe something was going really well, and then something else was coming in the forward, and then again something was taking a back seat, and now I think like there is a certain amount of like everything happening together. So I'll do like 1-2 TV shows in a year, and then I'll still have my events going on, and YouTube is something that is anyways now once again it's going to be a part and parcel. That's going to be on.
How has it helped you in terms of being from Mumbai itself? Number one. Number two, because you're born and brought up there and your family has been there, right? Number one. And also, how has the TV game changed? What are the key pointers that people need to take care in terms of understanding, in terms of getting into the TV space? I want to talk about a little. I want you to talk a little about that.
So I think that there are so many different things that you can do in TV, right? Like, do you want to be a TV actor? Do you want to be a presenter? Do you want to be a news anchor?
We'll stick to the presenter part.
Okay, so sticking to the presenter part, I also think that I would recommend that in today's day and age, to start on a digital space makes it much easier for you to then hop onto the TV space. It's changed now.
Okay. One is especially talking about the Indian kids and unconventional careers, right? If you go to your mom and dad and say, hey, I want to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, or whatever, or maybe something like that, people are fine with that. But still, careers like emceeing or TV presenter, stand-up comic, or YouTuber, Indian parents, especially from the middle class, do not still accept them as a viable careers, although they're really good careers, right? How was your relationship journey support from your family? And if, let us say, there's a kid watching this who thinks my family is not supporting me, what are the tips and advice you would give them so that, if not the family gets convinced, but what are the things he needs to kind of keep in mind so that there's some sort, if not a friction, but some sort of neutral thing that happens if they want to pursue a career in this domain? Yeah.
So I'll tell you the biggest joke that happened with me. Because of my parents, I was doing theater.
Okay.
I did acting, and then I did all of that. Then that theater ka bug, it caught on. And I did it as a child, and I did it in school, and I did it in college. And then when I was in my final year, in my 5th year, in my TY, BA, my dad turned to me and said, "Acha, to karne kya wale ho?" So I said, meaning, I'm doing this. I'm going to continue. So he said, "Nahi, wo to hobby hai na, beta." I was like, Dad, I've been doing this like since I was 5 years old. I'm 20 today.
Mm.
And that would have been like a really long hobby. Like, it's not a hobby. I'm going to professionally act.
Right.
That you can't do. That you can't do. That is not a profession. And
Okay.
at that point, I mean, my whole world was like, I felt like it was all just like a big lie. Like, I felt like everything that I had been working towards and everything that I had been building towards, suddenly I was told that that was not even like worth it. And it wasn't even like a profession. And I listened to my dad, and I did not continue acting as soon as I graduated. I got a job in radio, and
Okay.
I worked in a radio station. And as I was working over there, I worked there for almost 2.5, 3 years, 2 years. And I started realizing, but I'm miserable and I can't do this. And then I said to myself, you know what? I've made some money out of my radio work and my career. And I was doing really, really well in that radio station. By the time I quit, I was the assistant head of programming over there.
Okay.
So I was doing really well in my radio career. And I said, okay, what I will do is that I will get into acting. I will try and figure it out. And I won't depend on my parents. I won't be a burden on them.
Right.
And then maybe I will prove to them that this is a viable option. And let me tell you, the first year did not go very well for me. I didn't get work. Whatever work I got was really shit. My father was so upset, and he was so like, I told you so, you're doing the wrong thing, you're investing in the wrong thing. And I had to battle a lot of that and a lot of things that I had to convince them and then say, okay, look, this is actually working out. And so my advice would be is that if you stop letting your parents then be that you're going to be a burden on them, and there is something that you can parallelly do where you can take that boj matlab thoda agar halka ho jaye,
Right.
then they're not going to have a reason to also tell you that you're doing the wrong thing.
Okay. So despite the fact it was more inculcated from the parents' side, you still had a push or push back from their side. I also want you to emphasize a little more onto people into the initial struggling years. I think that's a very good point that you've raised. And in fact, rather, that was my last closing question, that how to cope up in the initial struggling years. Now, of course, you have enough work coming in. Now you have enough talks. People know you. You have more projects where you can reject the projects and you will not pick up a few. But initially it's difficult. A lot of times people go for shitty jobs or less paying jobs, or sometimes they also work for free, right? So how do you cope up in those initial 3, 4, 5 years of a career? Especially, as I said, it's an unconventional line. There's no benchmark, right? So what are your tips? What are your advices there?
I've never worked for free.
Okay, right.
They're not done it. I understand that somebody might need to do something for free.
Right.
I understand. I get that. But if that doing it for free is going to open, only if it is going to open 10 doors for you.
Right. Absolutely.
Only then you should do it.
Right.
Otherwise, I would never ever recommend doing anything for free. Maybe that project has not worked out, but they have come back to me. So don't think that, I will lose this particular client or they will never think about me again. That is not the case. They will come back to you.
Answer it in multiple perspectives. So from the money point of view, how do you cope up in the initial years? From the family pressure point of view, how do you cope up in the initial years? From the societal or peer pressure point of view, how do you cope up in the initial years? I think these are very strong factors in every.
The same answer.
Okay.
And I guess, so I'm going to be very frank over here. I would just say a certain amount of resilience is just needed.
Okay.
You just have to be very resilient and you have to be at it. You just got to be at it. Like you can't, you can't take a break. You can't afford to take a break. You can't
Hmm.
afford to leave it. I feel terrible having taken that break with my YouTube channel because the whole flow, everything, I feel like
Hmm.
I'm starting again from scratch.
Mhm.
Resilience is something that is really, really needed.
Hmm.
And to also say that there are going to be good days and there are going to be bad days, but this is something that I'm going to invest in. And the second thing, which I think is also very important and which is the reality as it exists, understanding when to also pull back.
Hmm. Last objective question I have, like quick 10 seconds. And this should act as a motivation for a lot of people watching this. How many hours do you work in a day? I'm sure, juggling between so many things, you must be putting in a lot of hard work and a lot of hours every day, which
I
people do
do,
not. Yeah.
I do, I work a lot, but I also make sure that I take a lot of time out also.
Okay.
Yeah, because then I burn out very fast. As hard as I do work, I also recognize the fact that I need to take time out for myself.
I'm
And
glad that. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
and so in a week, like I make sure that there's one day where the computer just goes off.
Okay. I'm glad that I asked that question because it was not an objective answer that you gave, but I think it's pretty important lesson in terms of balancing it out and working out.